Oh yeah, whoa. Look, they can never keep me down, I'm going. And if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up. I bet when I land, they gonna tell
What's going on, everyone? Episode 43 of Locker Talk Live. Today, we recap what's been going on in the Houston area. And let me tell you, there's been some things that are happening that can really shake some things up as we move towards the end of district, especially when we talk, 6A and what that means for teams regarding Division 1, Division 2. Before we get into all that, though, I have to bring in my co-hosts for today, which are Scott and Matt. So, Scott, let's start with you. How you doing on this Tuesday, man? Is it raining in Houston? Because it's raining here in Austin.
Man, it is a beautiful day here in Houston, Texas. Couldn't be more pumped. It's raining over where you're at. That's interesting because usually with Austin, Waco, we're about a day behind. So maybe we'll get some bad weather tomorrow or even this afternoon. But right now it is gorgeous down here on the west side of Houston. I'll start up to Malatesta. How's it going up on the north side, man?
Oh, Matt may have been frozen. Oh man, Matt, your internet connection is less than stellar right now. I think. There you go. There we go.
There it is. Can we get a screen grab of that?
Matt, how you doing,
great.
Matt?
It's the Weather Channel, brought to you by VYPE Media. It's beautiful up here in the Woodlands also. I'm heading down your way. We got a photo shoot this afternoon over in Katy. So.
Well, there you go.
I feel your music, Josh Dove. Hey,
I got some good music, man. I got to get people hyped for the show, So that's how we do it around here. But let's talk some Houston area games. Let's first talk about what has happened, and then take a little bit. Now as we know, Thursday at noon is our preview show, but we do some sneak peeks here on Tuesday as well. So Matt, I'll start with you. Just talk about, were there any big upsets this past week? I know Bridgeland, it would seem like an upset, but Connor Wegman did not play. First, do you still consider that an upset? And second, do you know how long he's out? Was this a one-game injury? What do you know?
Okay, so here's what I know. He got hurt in our VIPE game of the week 2 weeks ago when they were playing Cy Woods. For some reason, he's going out for pass plays. And he got hurt, looked like, on a pass play. And then I saw him, he never came back in the game. He was icing his leg. It did seem like it was almost the back of his leg. It looked like a calf almost. I could be wrong, but I'm going to have to find out. Anywho, yeah, can't be thrilled about that. So he doesn't play. Cy Ranch beats him barely. Cy Ranch is not the Cy Ranch of old right now. It was a mild upset, but I mean, Bridgeland was our number 3 team in the city of Houston going into this week. So the other game that was an upset, I've seen Klein Collins play a couple games. How in the world did they beat Tomball, another ranked top 10 team in the city of Houston, on Thursday night, game of the week, brought to you by VIPE? Tomball was flat. QB play was okay. Defense wasn't great. Klein Collins was like, this is a must-win for us. We've had a very tough non-district season. And, man, they gave the Tomball Cougars all they wanted. Well, and that was the biggest upset to me.
And that wasn't just a win. It was a pretty lopsided win, was it not, Matt?
Convincing, Scott. Convincing.
How about
out of all the Klein schools, Klein Collins is maybe traditionally the best. Say Klein Forest probably got off to the hottest start of the year, starting off 4-0. But Klein Collins does sneaky good program here in the Houston area, very consistent. I don't know if they're going – we talked about it a little bit, but I don't know if they're going through a little bit of a down slump this year, but maybe they figured something out because, like you said, they beat a really good Tomball team.
What also happened is they had a sophomore quarterback that was – they have quarterback problems. So they couldn't really settle on a quarterback. I think they settled on a quarterback, so that's good. And they have a set of twins. One plays running back, one plays linebacker. They'll really make that thing go. And they're a very physical team, and Tomball hadn't really played physical opponents leading up to that. I think that caught up to him. So we'll see where Tomball goes from here. But I tell you what, you've got an interesting Tomball Klein Kane who has really bounced back after getting throttled by Bridgeland in week 1, and Klein Collins, who's now emerged. And those are going to be the powers up top. Oak has stumbled, which is kind of weird for Oak. Klein Forest is rebuilding. Tomball Memorial is still pretty good. Klein has had some struggles. So that 4th playoff spot, going to be really interesting to see who comes out of Klein. Is that a lot of Klein information? A lot?
Never enough.
We were just at Klein.
Could have been overkill. Could have been overkill.
What about Matt? What about Atascocita's very close win against Summer Creek? It took overtime to win that one. Was that one a surprise? Just that it went into overtime for you?
A little bit. Those are 2 programs that are like the little leagues used to play in, and you used to play against all these kids coming up. That's kind of the game it is. It's a rivalry game. And Summer Creek has some pieces, and they're a really good team. Now Summer Creek has to turn around and play North Shore on a short week. Hey-o! On Thursday night, game of the week, brought to you by VYPE. It's going to be interesting to see how they are able to go back-to-back. Sometimes what I like to call a double impact game. Atascocita, that game took a lot out of them emotionally, physically. Now can they rebound again and bring that same energy against the North Shore Mustangs? And that district is turning into be a bloodbath with Atascocita, C.E. King, who is for real, Summer Creek, and North Shore. Tough district.
Very, very tough district. Scott, let me get your input on this. I think you were about to say something as well, so I'll turn it over to you, Scott.
Yeah, Matt, everybody should go to VYPE.com. Matt just posted his 6A rankings for the VYPE Insiders, so go sign up to be a VYPE Insider so you can check out Malatesta's rankings. I was going to ask, Matt, who are some of the teams we're not necessarily talking about? Because you mentioned C.E. King, Atascocita, and North Shore. Those are 3 of the top 5 teams in the city of Houston, according to your rankings. And we've barely even talked about C.E. King. C.E. King, maybe one of their best wins of the year was against Ridge Point earlier this season, who comes in at number 10 in these rankings. I feel like we're not talking a lot about Jersey Village or heck, even Cy Park. John Moyes over there in the comment section was talking about Cy Park. Who are some of those underrated teams like a C.E. King that we really need to keep an eye on, who is really impressed so far this season?
Well, you've got some teams who I'm not convinced yet, but they could be really good. Jersey Village is one. They just beat Cy Fair this week. Cy Fair has been the bullies of that district for a long time. However, they also lost to Stratford, who is also 6-0. Stratford 6-0 moves into like the top 13, 14. Now they play Big Brother Memorial this weekend. That could be interesting. So I kind of like Stratford. If they win, if they beat Memorial, they're for real. I think they're kind of for real, but they've got some athletic kids on that team that stretch the field for them. So watch out for Stratford. C.E. King just does it the old-fashioned way. They just grind you out. They run the ball over and over. It just drives you nuts. So that's another team. Jersey Village, I'm not sure yet either. Again, they beat Fair. They're athletic. The district is somewhat weak. And when I say somewhat, I mean a lot. So it's going to be them or Stratford winning that district. So we'll see who comes out of that. The team that nobody's talking about, there's 2 of them. We don't talk about Westfield enough. They're number 2 in the city. They're good. They beat Spring. They beat them with defense. They're going to run the table.
And North Shore.
And they'll go in. Yeah. And they beat North Shore. That's right. Katy they're done. They're running the table. They're done regular season, done. Westfield, done. But we don't talk about them enough. Another team that I like is, no one talks about this team, Clear Falls. Clear Springs has won that district many, many times in a row. Clear Falls is on the come up. They have a very exciting offense. And that's a mainstay out there in the south side of town, which is weird. But they're leading that district. They're going to have to play Dickinson. And when you play Dickinson, that's when you have to determine if you're really that good, because they will punch you in the mouth over and over. And they got great skills and they're physical. Dickinson's the other team that nobody's talking about really, because they got those 2 early losses to some really tough teams. Dickinson's legit. Other teams, Shadow Creek on the come up. They're our number 20 team. They had a very tough non-conference. They're getting their legs under them. They're doing really good things. Dobie, I don't know. Dobie, I'm not in love with Dobie, but they have a very weak district as well. But their numbers are gaudy, right? But can't trust them. Don't trust them yet. We'll see.
I think it's really interesting, Matt, that you were saying about Dickinson and Clear Falls, because Clear Falls, obviously a good start to the season, beating Clear Springs. Kind of similar to Stratford and Memorial. It's like, hey, if Stratford's able to get past Memorial, they're able to get past Big Brother. That's what Clear Falls is to Clear Springs. Check that one off the list. Josh W. and I were saying that Dickinson, starting off the season, I believe 0-2 or 1-2.
Yeah.
They had lost a tie 1 to Ridgepoint, a tie 1 to Katy. They were probably one of the better 2-loss teams in the state. Now it seems like they're grooving. So that is really interesting. That Dickinson and Clear Falls game is one to keep an eye on in the future.
Yeah,
it's coming. And that's a good game.
You mentioned that Memorial and Stratford district, and I think they have within Northbrook. They now have the school with the longest losing streak. Because I think Boys Ranch, they were which is another school, out in some part of Texas. They had the longest one, and they won a few weeks ago. So, yeah, good point there. We had a comment, Matt, in our YouTube comment section. John Moyes, he said, Cypress Park going undefeated, mark it down. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, I do. They're the weirdest team, okay? They had 3 1,000-yard rushers last year. How is that possible? How is that possible? But they're good.
It's weird
they're
to have 2.
Nasty, man. They run the rock on that triple option, and then they're tough on defense. You got Harold Perkins, Owen Peewee, a little kind of a undersized quarterback who just runs that offense to perfection, and they're old. So that's what's good for them, is they're very senior heavy, and they will run the table in that district for sure.
Well, and they may be playing Bridgeland at the right time. They play Bridgeland this coming week, so kind of the right time to play them if they're not fully healthy. You were talking about Katy kind of being underlooked. They're going to roll through the rest of their district. And, something surprising is they're probably going Division II again. Seven Lakes, beat Morton Ranch, and now they're on their way to, it looks like, Division II, which, by the way, Westlake may be going Division II as well. And it looks like if you look at Division I, Division II, it looks like the matchup will be another kind of state semifinal showdown. Last year was Westlake and North Shore. This year it's kind of looking like it could be Westlake and Katy in the semis. Is that just crazy to you that in Division II you're going to have 2 powerhouses fighting it out in the state semis? Possibly. You never know what happens, but just on paper.
Well, I think that is interesting. I mean, Katy is going to go D2, and that's really honestly where they belong, I think, for them to have success. Gary Joseph he gets a rap a little bit that he's an older guy, but the dude is cool, man. He's cool. He has the respect of that entire town and that team for sure. He deals with a lot. I mean, there's a lot of politics that go into Katy football. I guarantee you. A. B, you got kids that are kind of banged up, and then they, like Bobby Taylor, he's out for the year. So, I mean, it's not like you're going to replace a 4-star, but they're just so sound. And he just gets it done every year. Westlake, what impressed me the most about them was their defense last year. Can Katy rise to the challenge and knock off Westlake with Klubnik? He's so good, and he's so big. I think that would be a heck of a game. And I've done this before. I've fallen in this trap like, I'm not sure Katy's that good, and then they go wreck people. So I can't say yet who would win that game, but that's a must-see TV game. come December.
Well, and something
I think it's
something you might not know yet, Matt, but we don't really know the health of Cade Klubnik. So he got hurt on Friday, non-throwing shoulder. He says he's going to be back before the season ends. So we'll see there. But that could also play a factor. Is obviously the health of the quarterback. But we hope he's healthy because man, that would be a fun one to watch right there. Scott, I'll turn it back over to you. I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, think about this. Who are some of the top 3 rated quarterbacks in the state of Texas? You're at Quinn Ewers, Connor Wigman, Cade Klubnik. Right now, all of them are not playing. How crazy is that? Now, 2 of them are to injury, and then we know what happened with Quinn Ewers. But, yeah, and, I mean, to your point, Matt, I think Gary Joseph, he just has Katy so fundamentally sound. Going all the way down to Pee Wee football, those kids know the offense and know the defense. And I think Gary Joseph is really good at getting his guys not to look ahead, to be like, hey, we got to win every week, play who's in front of you, because that's always the debate with people like us is, can Katy win in D1 or not? I think to your point, they might belong in D2. That's an interesting take. Westlake, you probably could have made the same argument, but then they went and win a state championship in Division I last year. So I would love to see those 2 match up, though, in the playoffs. I think that'll be electric. It could be very similar to what we got last year with Westlake and North Shore.
I'm telling y'all, what's affecting high school football is what's happening with NIL in college and graduating early and looking ahead. You know, Gary Joseph is about not looking ahead. High school kids, they're all about looking ahead, especially the stars.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, it's making me nervous because, like, if you get dinged up a little bit, why would you come back if you're already locked up with a college? I mean,
totally agree.
I think.
Why would you come back? And I think
every athlete's different, though. And me and Scott, we touched on this in yesterday's show. Actually, is we kind of talked. Does Katy come back? He's had this injury. Does he come back? But just from all indications, right, from what he said, Cade seems like one of those people that will come back, right? He wants to. There's circumstances, right? He wants to finish the season, chance for a three-peat, chance to send Coach Dodge out, into the sunset with. Another championship. So I feel like every situation is different. I do think you have some valid points as far as some athletes are going to start looking at that, and if they can graduate early, they might because of the NILs. But Scott, I know you also had something you wanted to say on this. I'll turn it over to you.
No, I mean, I think you're 100% correct, Matt, because I mean, we even saw a little bit of it before the NIL came out with Jaden Bloom, then Quinn Ewers, and things that aren't necessarily getting talked about.
Bobby Taylor is one at Katy. I'm sorry to interrupt,
exactly,
but Bobby Taylor is one at Katy. Okay. He's not playing. I don't get it, but he's not playing. And you have the number one kid also, Denver Harris at North Shore, who ACL'd last year in that Westlake game, and he was trying to get back for the season. I'm like, bro, you ain't coming back. Maybe he is. And if he does, man, kudos. That's awesome. But not in this climate. I just don't see it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's take a look at a few of the games that are coming up this week. Again, we'll have a preview show on Thursday, but just tease us with some of these Houston games. I know one of the ones you mentioned before we came on, Matt, was, and you talked about it kind of briefly, I think, Stratford and Memorial. Big time matchup for basically probably who's going to maybe walk away with that district title. Although I think Jersey Village is in that district as well, if I'm not mistaken. So they may have something to say about that. But a big-time matchup on this one. Talk to us a little bit about this one, Matt.
Well, Scott's an inner looper too. And I guess Stratford's outside the loop or the Beltway. I don't know.
Technically.
But they're both outside the loop, honestly. Sometimes I have the formula of when big-time teams come off the bus, and then if they're playing at home. Well, Memorial has had Stratford's number for maybe decades. So that's 7 points right there. You got a young quarterback in Nash who's done some really good things. This is their Super Bowl, right? This is the Spring Branch ISD Super Bowl. Are they up for it? Are they ready for that? And sometimes I think teams that are so amped up and get off to a slow start, I think that hurts them and they fall apart. How can they? Memorial's going to make a little run. How do they withstand that run and the crowd and the neighborhood just pumped up for Memorial? Because they have not been big winners. So I'm going to say Memorial wins that game. And I love Todd Rankin, but and he's building this thing the right way. And it's his third or fourth year, so this is his senior group. But sometimes it's hard to get over that hump, man, to beat your arch nemesis. Scott.
Whoa.
What say you?
You are going with Memorial over Stratford. What a take. I love it, though. Here's why. But I love it, but I think I'm going to end up picking Stratford, TBD on that. Because you're right, Memorial's had their number. You know who the most famous quarterback to come out of Stratford is? This guy named Andrew Luck. I'm sure most people have heard of him. Andrew Luck couldn't beat Memorial back then. Maybe he beat him once or twice, but generally, at least I remember his senior year, Memorial ended up winning that game. So it's the big brother mentality. It's the Alabama versus the Auburn. It's the formerly Yankees versus the Red Sox. You know, you can't beat big brother. Georgia Tech, you name it. Man, it's going to be tough because it's tough mentally to get over. Stratford might have objectively the better team on paper, but mentally, are they ready? Coach Rankin and them boys, I think they'll be ready, but it's going to be a fight either way. It's like these rivalry games. It's tough to bet because everybody just gets so jacked up and amped up to play. It's going to be interesting because, especially if Stratford beats Memorial, it's going to come down to Jersey Village or Stratford. And when was the last time Stratford won their district in football? I don't know, because it's always been Cy-Fair or Sprinkling Memorial or whoever in there. So this could potentially be a very big year for the Stratford Spartans.
Yeah, and what's cool is, he's got Todd Rankin has some coaching chops, big time. So he was at Oak Ridge. Then he coached at North Shore, and then he coached at Klein Collins under Drew Sapota, who's now at Alabama. So it's not. I mean, he knows the program, but sometimes the old little guy over there in Memorial, Gary Koch, will get you. He's gonna slow play and then get you in the end.
Well, I'm pretty sure that one will be on VYPE Flow Sports on Friday. So if you're not a Flow Sports member, definitely sign up to watch that one. Another one that will be interesting in the private sector is Second Baptist and TCA. Second Baptist has been on a roll. I think they lost their first one, and they've won 5 straight. And TWCA lost their first game last week. And what to me was a pretty lopsided a loss for them against Fort Bend Christian. This one, I'm going to throw up the little graphic now. We're also doing countdown to kickoff for this game. So game will start at 7:30. We'll start at 6:15. We'll have Josh and Todd Freed on. They'll talk about the game, break it down for you. Have some special guests from the Second Baptist community on the show. It is Second Baptist homecoming, so definitely tune into that. We'll have it on YouTube. We'll have it on Facebook and Twitter. And then after the countdown to kickoff, it's right to the game, and we'll be back for a post game show as well. But let's turn it over to you, Matt. This is kind of it's going to go a long way for Second Baptist. They've kind of been around that cusp for the last few years. Can't get past Regents in the state semis, but they've always been kind of right there. What do you think about this game?
Well, that was very telling what Fort Bend Christian was able to do to TWCA. TWCA, everybody thinks of Second Baptist as being the gold standard in that district. They got the history, they got the players, coaching's amazing. They got the bigs. They got, it all comes down to kind of depth and bigs, and that's who wins games. So TWCA is going in thinking, hey, we're the underdogs. We got to wing it. But I think Second Baptist is just simply too loaded. They beat Calhoun, who's a pretty physical team in the public school ranks, runs the ball a lot. It would really be a shocker for TWCA to win this game. I'm going Second Baptist all the way. Too many tools, too much history. And that's a 7-point advantage right there.
Scott, got to turn it over.
Scotty T went there.
Got to turn it over to Scotty T, the Second Baptist alumni. Unfortunately, you will not be able to make this game, which is kind of disappointing. We would have loved to have the alumni on there, but you've had some other plans. But tell us about this one, Scott.
Yeah, I have a family commitment this weekend, so I will not be attending the game. But yes, that is my alma mater. The last time that we didn't win district, actually, Matt, was my senior year in football.
Really?
So we have won the district every year since 2012, which is quite the run.
And so what people don't know about this is Scott dropped the game-winning touchdown and has been hated by the Second Baptist community ever since. Just kidding. just kidding. Just kidding.
That's right. I didn't play high school football, though, so don't at me. So, to your point, they got the history, but I know Second Baptist really wants to win a state championship. TWCA was a dark horse in this district. They were probably thinking, hey, why not us? Everybody's talking about Fort Bend. Everybody's talking about Second Baptist. But FBCA put a good beating on them this last weekend. And to your point, Matt, that was very telling. And I still think this district is going to come down to Second Baptist and Fort Bend Christian in the last game of the year. If I'm not mistaken, it's November 5th. So stay tuned for that in the private school realms. Yeah, I think Second Baptist probably comes out on top on this, especially since it's at home. So T-Dub, I'm sorry, but the Eagles fly on this one.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's not a surprise, I think, if that happens. A lot of good games the last week of the regular season, by the way. You have that one in Austin. You have Westlake and Lake Travis. So, it's kind of setting it up where it's going to be a very dynamic week 11 of Texas high school football. That's really all the games I have that I want to talk about. Matt, I'll turn it over to you one more time. Any other games you'd like to mention? If not, that's fine. Just thought I'd throw it over to you.
I mean, there's a pretty good slate. I believe that we said that Cy Park Bridgeland game is this week.
Yep.
And that, if Wigman comes back, and they might do a slow play that thing, say, I'm not sure. Maybe he's coming back. Maybe he's not. And then, boom, he shows up. But if he's back in that game, he's a drastic difference maker. But if not, I think Cy Park wins going away. They're just too many weapons, man. And, too many weapons and too physical. Another team that's kind of getting it together a little bit is the Woodlands. We thought that Willis was going to put up a little bit more of a fight, and they just smashed Willis. Mm-hmm. The connection of Mabry Matower, who's the big-time quarterback who's just a sophomore, to Ben Ferguson, the senior, he's got a couple like Trinity, Abilene Christian. They're one of the more dynamic pass, QB to receiver duos in the city of Houston. They're playing well. Fort Bend Marshall just mowing over people. That's a team that doesn't get a lot of love because they're in 5A, but that's a team that could make it go the distance and get to the state finals.
Oh, wow. You heard it here first, folks. Keep your eyes on them. That's going to be our show for today. Scott, before we get out of here, I always like to turn it over to you to tell us where people can go to follow along and talk to us about the VYPE Insider that's going on right now.
Yes, before I get there, Matt, I'm calling it now. Aledo versus Fort Bend Marshall. Second time in 3 years, I think they match up again down in that 5A, I think D2 level. So,
yeah,
because Marshall, they're humming, man. They are humming.
They are.
Other quick notes, C.E. King and Atascocita, I think you touched on it earlier, Matt. That's going to be a really good game and very telling for that district.
Oh, yeah.
That district, North Shore, that's going to be a heavyweight matchup, I would say.
That's this weekend. That's this week. That's a massive game.
Yeah. I mean, that might be the headliner game in the city of Houston. And the other one that I like is, to your point, Klein Collins versus Klein Kane. Just keep an eye on that one. It's going to be interesting to see because I think whoever wins this district will probably – or win this game will probably win the district but it could be tomball. I don't know. It's pretty wide open. So those are just two of the games I wanted to mention very briefly before we get out of here. So, but yes, go follow us on our social media platforms at VYPE Houston on Instagram and Twitter, at VYPE Texas on Facebook. Go check out VYPE.com. We got articles dropping daily. Some great content in the city of Houston across the state of Texas. But while you're doing that, go check out the VYPE Insider program. Throw up that graphic if you got it, my man. Premium content headed your way every single day. Breaking news, premium articles, exclusive videos, documentary, so much more. Documentaries. I cannot say that word. But, yeah, go check it out. We're really excited about the VIPE Insider program, $2.99 a month. Or if you want to pay annually, it comes out to $1.99. But, hey, that's only $24. I've seen Matt Malatesta spend more than $24 in Starbucks in one sitting. So no big deal.
You're right. You're right.
Well, that's all I got. Thanks. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Matt, will you be on the call Thursday for the VIPE Thursday night showdown?
Yes, North Shore versus Summer Creek at North Shore. Going to be a good one. That district, it's a very telling week of that district. The CE King up in Atascocita, and same goes with Summer Creek and North Shore. I mean, it's still a jumbled mess in that district, and they got some ballers in that east side of town.
Well, tune in.
I think Summer Creek might be better than what we thought. But especially based off they were undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, and they played Atascocita really tough. You know, they got Kelvin Banks anchoring the O-line. They might be a little bit better. We might have slept on them a little bit.
Agreed.
Yeah,
we'll find out this week.
That's right.
We definitely will. Tune into our social media where we'll post a little graphic that will tell you where you can watch that game. Of course, AT&T Sportsnet. So whatever cable provider you have, it will be on that channel. And presented by Guarantee Bank, by the way. So tune into that one on Thursday. We will be back tomorrow. We got 3 shows tomorrow. We got the VYPE podcast. We got the Coach Craig Cranfield show with Josh Cook and Coach Craig Cranfield of St. Pius. And then at 6 p.m., we have the VYPE Coach's Corner with Coach Williams and Coach McDowell of Fort Bend Marshall and Foster, respectively. So tune into those. Until then, I'm Wack. That's been Matt and Scott, and this has been Locker Talk Live. We'll see you at the games.